Maisie has never been to Last Chance, Minnesota, until now. Her mom's plan is to stay for just a couple of weeks while Maisie's grandfather gets better, but plans change. And as Maisie spends more time in Last Chance, where she and her family are the only Asian Americans, and at the Golden Palace, the restaurant that's been in the family for generations, she makes some discoveries. For instance, you can tell a lot about someone by the way they order food, and people can surprise you. Sometimes in good ways, sometimes in disappointing ways, and the Golden Palace has secrets. But the more Maisie learns, the more questions she has, like why are her mom and her grandmother always fighting? And who are the people in the pictures on the office wall? When she discovers that a family treasure has gone missing and someone has left a racist note, Maisie decides it's time to find the answers. Here is a preview of Maizy Chen's Last Chance by Lisa Yi. It was the winner in 2023 of the Asian Pacific American Award for Literature, and it was also an honor book for the John Newbery Medal. Both of these awards are presented by the American Library Association, and you may notice from this disc here on the cover, this book was also a finalist for the National Book Award. Here is Maizy Chen's Last Chance. The pies were fake, but my grandparents didn't know that. Not at first, anyway. My mother had invited them to watch her work on a tasty, flaky pie crust commercial. When I first started going with her to the set, Mom told me, as a food stylist, my job is to make sure everything looks good for the camera. Oma and Opa showed up directly from the airport wearing matching airplane pillows around their necks. My job was to make sure they didn't get into trouble. My grandmother's luggage had barely touched the floor when she rushed over and, in her excitement, practically knocked me down. Oma's hug felt awkward, partly because of the neck pillow and also because, even though I was 8 years old, it was the first time I'd met her in person. My best friend thinks it's weird that I don't know my grandparents that well. Her family is really close. It's complicated, I've tried explaining to Ginger, but the truth is I don't understand it myself. My mom and I talk about almost everything, but when it comes to her relationship with her parents, that's a different story. On the set, Opa beamed brighter than the soundstage lights dangling overhead. Maisie, you're so big, my grandfather kept repeating before he got distracted by the pretend kitchen with only one wall. That's when Oma pointed to a tight circle of people. Shouldn't they be working, she asked. Why aren't they working? Mom stood calmly in the middle while the director yelled, Charlotte, I need practice pies, now. You'll get your pies, Mom said, motioning to the 24 pies lined up on folding tables. Some were fully baked, others were ready for the oven, preparing for their close-ups. My grandparents watched in shocked silence as Mom's perfectly rounded scoops of mashed potatoes stood in for vanilla ice cream, since potatoes don't melt. Instead of milk, glasses were filled with glue because that looks better on camera. Oma and Opa are in the food business too. They own the Golden Palace. That's their Chinese restaurant in Last Chance, Minnesota. Mom once told me, Maisie, you're the last of the Last Chance Chens. That seemed weird, since I'd never even been there. I leaned in to eavesdrop as my grandparents began to whisper. Where did Charlotte learn that? Not from us. It's not real food. When Mom topped the pies with a can of shaving cream instead of whipped cream, Oma looked like she had just seen a zombie. It was all too much. My grandmother grabbed her suitcase with one hand and my grandfather with the other. Come on, we're going home. But we just got here, Opa protested. By now he had noticed that the back of the oven was missing and that there was a camera inside it. Before he could say anything more, Oma kissed the top of my head. We love you, Maizy. Come visit us. That was the last time I saw my grandparents. Until today. An elderly woman is sweeping the sidewalk with a bamboo broom. Oma, I call to her. My grandmother drops the broom and clutches her heart. The huge black bear sculpture that towers over her makes me nervous. Opa, she cries into the Golden Palace restaurant, our Maizy has arrived. From inside, a man's shaky voice calls out, Maizy, Maizy, come here so I can look at you. My little Maizy, Oma says. This is ironic, since my grandmother is only a couple of inches taller than me. You've finally decided to visit. I don't tell her I didn't have a choice. She looks much happier today than the last time I saw her, 3 years ago, on the Tasty Flaky set. That commercial landed Mom on the cover of Food Stylists Monthly. But what she remembers most about it is that her parents left without even saying hello. A boy on a battered bike glides past, then circles around, slamming on his brakes. Doesn't he know it's rude to stare? I tiptoe past the scary bear and hear my mother clearing her throat. She's leaning against our Honda with her arms crossed. An assortment of smashed bugs grace the windshield, casualties of our 3-day road trip from Los Angeles. Hello, Mom. My mother lowers her sunglasses. Maizy didn't drive herself to Last Chance. I'm here too. And this has been a preview of Maizy Chen's Last Chance by Lisa Yee.